Hello, welcome to What's Bubbling at ZIMjs. I'm inventor Dan Zen, and Zim at ZIMjs.com is an open source framework to make interactive media on the HTML canvas. In this bubbling, we're going to take a look at the Zim window. Now, the Zim window has been around for a while, so we're going to take a look at the new Resize method. And that allows us to resize the window without changing the aspect ratio of the content within. So let's take a look at some code now. Here we are in a Zim template, and you can grab this from the Zim zip or from the frame page. And this one's a full template, which is probably what you want for the resizing. So as that browser window changes size, we have maximum canvas. We can go right to the edges of the browser window, which is good for mobile. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a window, well, tell you what, might be best just to see this. I can open it up in a browser here. So here we have a pad as content, and as we scroll down, you see we get to the bottom. You can also use a scroll wheel, or indeed you can swipe. Okay, and the swipe has this neat little swipe snap if you turn that on. So that's a Zim window, and it's been set to be the size of the browser window at the moment. And then as I do this, a resize event is being captured, and the window is being resized, but the content inside is being individually scaled to the width of the window. So the content inside isn't being scaled as we resize the window. And that's what was going on before. So let's see how we can handle that with code then. We're going to make a pad. 20 things, 2 columns, 200 wide, I guess that is at the moment. It won't really matter because we're going to scale the pad. And then we make a window. So here we are making a window. We start off with the width and height of the window being the stage width and stage height. That's great. We're turning the indicator drag to true. By default, that hides, the indicator is hidden, and sort of you swipe the window and then the indicator kind of shows up. It was more of a swiping mobile window concept. I maybe should turn the indicator to true as a default. It's hard to say. I then realized, okay, people seem to want to scroll with that indicator if the indicator pops up, and then I added the scroll to it, and by that time it was like, you know, just a normal window, as a matter of fact, just like this window here in Atom. All right, so we've got a scroll wheel true. That defaults to true anyway. I was just playing around with this. We've got interactive. Interactive defaults to true. Let's save that up. In this case, with a pad, it's a touch awkward. So with a pad, you can still scroll, but you see how it sort of flashes because you're actually selecting this. So you probably want interactive true, but you definitely want to provide this way, which seems a bit more elegant to just be able to scroll like this without kind of scrolling on it and having it flash at you. But that's just because there's a big pad like that. Who knows what content you might have. And most likely you do have interactive content. Here's damping. This is the damping for that sliding action. You can not have sliding if you don't want. And then here is damping for the scroll wheel and the scroll bar. So it looks nice with damping. I would recommend you do that. Well, just comment this out. If you don't have damping, thank you, Avast, for this nice opportunity to make a survey. If you don't have damping, then it looks a bit choppy. You know, it's too immediate. So there I am scrolling or using the scroll wheel, and it almost just like flop, 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 and there it goes. Damping makes it look much more smooth, so you should turn the damping on, and you'll have to do that manually. Damping also might use batteries, depending on, you know, your sort of situation and what you think of that. It's always sort of checking for motion. You see, even if I'm not moving, it has to slow down afterwards, and therefore it needs to constantly check for whether it should be damping. But it is much nicer, isn't it? All right, we take that window, we add it to the stage. We're adjusting the indicator. And the window was meant to be sort of like you know, you've got your Canvas app and you might have a window in the Canvas app. It was never really thought of to be a scrollable whole window. If you want to scroll stuff off, and you just go to HTML and then you got scrolling text and all this, that's the world of HTML, or traditional HTML we'll call it. So here's without the indicator defaults to be a little bit more slender than that. So it was just supposed to be this little thing that you would view at the side to say, oh yeah, you know, I'm scrolling, I see I'm scrolling. So anyway, that's a bit narrow if you're going to go full size. So we've adjusted the indicator with the indicator property, and you've got more things that you can do. For instance, if you don't want a corner, well, there's more things than just these three even, but here's an example of a big blocky one then, you know, with no corner, if that's what you're into. They'll keep the corner. And then we add to that window the pad. So win.add pad. Win was our window, pad was our content. We added the content. Now, we've got a frame.onResize event, and when it resizes, we grab the new stage and stage width. That's very common in a frame resize. We want to set our new variables again. And then we are adjusting the pad's width to the stage width, or it could have been the window width, minus 35, and minus 35 is that allows for the scroll bar on the right-hand side. Okay, so that's what's adjusting the content to be within that. If we didn't adjust the content, it would be just whatever the natural size of the, there it is, that's the natural size, great. And then when I scale the window, you see it no longer scaling or resizing the window, doesn't scale the contents. It's just the window itself. So that's pretty cool, but we may want that to be, to go to the width. Okay, and then we're resizing. Here it is in the resize. We run the resize method to resize the window to the stage width, stage height, and update again. Super duper. Probably don't need that one. Now just watch. This is a resize event. It happens right at the beginning when, you know, the window's being sort of formed. It does a resize. If you happen to be loading in assets and you've made your window once you load in assets, this resize may have already gone. So even if you take this frame.onResize and put it into the complete event, you may need to just do something like this, resize. We can do that semicolon and just call this function resize, like so. We won't need that anymore. Okay, so you see what we're doing? We separated out the resize event so that even if the window doesn't resize because it's already been loaded, no resizing is happening until somebody happens to resize the window, but there's no guarantee that they'll do that right away. You can then call it resize, resize, resize. We did it! Woohoo! Is that like you coding? Okay, so there we are, manually calling the resize to make sure that all of this happens. And that way you don't have to put this stuff outside as well, because I've seen that happen sometimes. You know, you make your window and you resize it to start, you know, you set all the widths and stuff like that to start, and then you got a resize event. And I mean, you don't have to duplicate that. You can just take whatever you were going to resize here and throw it into a function that you can call manually, regardless of whether they resized. Okay, good. That is the new resize method on a window. Could be handy for you. And this has been a What's Bubbling at Zim. Have a great day. I'm Inventor Dan Zen. Come on and try Zim out, ZIMjs.com. Ciao. Check out the other bubblings as well.